Hi and welcome. In this video, I will explain each and every step involved in network flow of Kerberos protocol, and the source of this video is Wikipedia. Now basically there are three entities which are involved in Kerberos protocol. The first entity is the client or the user, and the second one is the key distribution center or KDC, and third one is the service server where the resource is hosted. Now, the client wants to access a resource over the network which is hosted on a server. But since client and server do not trust each other directly, therefore they require a third party to establish this trust. And this third party is called Key Distribution Center or KDC. Now, KDC may be hosting two services, that is the authentication server or key distribution server. Now, these two services or the server may be hosted on different server, or they may be hosted as part of KDC. But for the purpose of this video, I have assumed that these both services, that is the TGS and AS, are hosted on the KDC. Now, what happens that the user enters his credentials, that is username and password, on the client machine. Now, the client machine sends the user ID only in clear text to the authentication server, that is the KDC. Now, KDC or the authentication server generates the secret key by hashing the user password stored at a database. For example, in case of Microsoft implementation, this database is Active Directory. Then the authentication server creates two messages for the client. The first message is encrypted session key which will be used in future between the client and the ticket granting server, which is the KDC. And this session key is encrypted with the hash of user password, that is the secret key. And then this second message, that is message B, is encrypted TGT, and this TGT or ticket granting ticket is encrypted with the secret key which is only known to the KDC or TGS. So it is not known to the client or the user. And this ticket granting ticket contains the user ID and IP, and then the ticket validity period and the session key which will be used for future communication between the client and the TGS. So up till now, TGS does not know what is this session key which will be used between itself and the client. But once it will decrypt this TGT, then it will know about this session key. Now, once these two messages are received by the client, then the client decrypts the message A because it is encrypted with the password hash of the user, which is known to the client, and it then gets the session key which will be used for future communication between the client and the TGS. But client cannot decrypt the second message, that is the message B, because it is encrypted with a secret key which is only known to the ticket granting server. Then the client sends two messages, that is message C and D. Now the message C is again the client replay the same encrypted TGT with a service ID of the requested service, because now client wants to get access to for example print server. Therefore it wants to get another ticket for that print server from the KDC or the TGS. For that it needs to send the service ID of that required service. So it replay the TGT along with the required service ID of the resource it wants to access. And in message D, the client sends an authenticator. Now this authenticator is also encrypted with the session key which will be used between the client and TGS. Now this session key is not known to the TGS, but it will only be known to the TGS once it will decrypt the message C. So it will be considered as a mutual authentication that the TGS is legitimate one because it can decrypt the message C, and therefore resultantly it can decrypt the message D, which will be encrypted with the session key stored in the message C. So the TGS then decrypt the encrypted TGT or the message B, and it gets the session key, and then it will decrypt the authenticator using that session key of client to TGS. So now this session key is known to the TGS because it has decrypted the TGT, and this TGT contains this session key. So now the TGS compares the client ID from the TGT and from the authenticator. Since it has decrypted both the TGT and the decryptor, therefore it can compare the client IDs contained both in the TGT and the decryptor. And if the client IDs are same, it means that the legitimate client has requested a service. So therefore it is a mutual authentication. Therefore it is called authenticator. Now this is the authenticator 1. There will be again an authenticator 2 which will be used between client to the server where the resource is hosted. So authenticator 1 is used between the client and the TGS, and the authenticator 2 will be used between the client and the server where the resource is hosted, or the service server, or SS. Now the TGS then sends a message E and F to the client, and this message E contains the service ticket or the ticket of a resource which is hosted on a service. Now this service ticket is again encrypted, and it cannot be decrypted by the client, but it can only be replayed by the client because it is encrypted with the secret key only known to the server where the resource is hosted. So this service ticket again contain an other session key. So once the server will be able to decrypt this service ticket, then it will be able to access this session key to decrypt another message encrypted with this session key, which I will discuss later. So this session key contains the client ID and IP and validity period, and another session key which will be used between the client and the server where the resource is hosted. So this is an encrypted service ticket which cannot be decrypted by the client. Now message F can be decrypted by the client because it is encrypted with the key which is used between with the session key which was earlier used between the client and TGS. So this is an other session key which is encrypted with the earlier session key of client to TGS. So this new session key will be used between the client and the server while client is requesting resource from the server directly, because since now it has the service ticket or the encrypted service ticket. So now the client will get this encrypted service ticket, and it cannot decrypt this service ticket. So it will replay this encrypted service ticket, and it will send another authenticator so that the server can decrypt this authenticator and proves that he is the original server or legitimate one. So this new authenticator will again be used for mutual authentication between client and server. The earlier authenticator was used between the client and the TGS for mutual authentication. So this new authenticator contains the same information, that is the client ID and IP and timestamp, and this authenticator is encrypted with the session key which will be used between the client and server. So again, this session key is not known to the server up till now, and it will only be known to the server if it is able to decrypt the service ticket, because service ticket contains this session key. Now the service server, or the server where the resource is hosted, decrypt this session key, this service ticket actually, and it will then get the session key, which will be used between client and server. So now the server has got the session key, or the second session key. So the server now can decrypt the authenticator to prove that he is the legitimate server, or for mutual authentication between client and server. So server will then compares the client ID which is found in the new authenticator with the client ID which was in the service ticket, since it has decrypted both the service ticket and the authenticator. So then the server compares both the client IDs, and then it is proved that the client is the legitimate one. Now this message H is actually optional message, and it is used in version 4 but not necessary in version 5 of Kerberos protocol. So this message H is then sent as a confirmation, or the final confirmation, by the server where the resource is hosted to the client, and it contains actually the time stamp, or the encrypted timestamp of the client's authenticator, using and it is encrypted with the last session key, that is the session key used between the client and server. So client, since know this session key, it can decrypt this timestamp, and it can then send a confirmation, and it can check that this timestamp is correct to trust the server, and it can therefore request the resource from the server. Now the server finally provides the requested resource. So this was all from my side. Please stay connected to my channel for similar videos. Thank you.